I saw an interview a few days ago given by one of the early investors in AI. And he said, in a few years, say in about 2 to 3 years, we will have AI doctors. Now, don't ask me how that is going to work because I have absolutely no clue. But that's where we're headed. AI has changed and will continue to change the way we access information, the way we get educated. A few years ago, brick and mortar universities were the norm. Now that is changing. In a couple of years, brick and mortar universities and institutions will be the exception and not the norm. Everything is going online, backed by AI in so many ways. It will affect the kind of jobs that will be in demand in the future. It will also affect how we do those jobs. Someone said, AI might not replace you, but someone using AI might replace you. Even now, everywhere you look, people are losing their jobs. Certificates and degrees that used to guarantee very good jobs and very, very long, prosperous careers don't anymore. But we all know this, except you've been living under a rock for the past 1 or 2 years. It is manifestly obvious where the world is headed. This video is not about AI. Absolutely not. This video is about what we can do or what we need to do to get ahead for anyone and everyone. The question is, how do I navigate this? If you're at the point where you're asking yourself, what is the next chapter for me? If you've lost your job or going through a divorce, or maybe the loss of a loved one, and you're asking yourself, where do I go from here? How do I remain relevant? This is the video for you. Whenever I ask people, how do they think that they can navigate this time and come out doing very well? The answers I get are pretty much the same. They're standard answers. Get better education, okay. Some even say get married, others get divorced. I get a myriad of answers and all of them valid. But there is one skill, and I dare call it a skill. There is one skill that I hardly ever hear mentioned. And it is the one skill that if we do not have it, we cannot, and I mean cannot, navigate through these times. And that one skill is the ability to reinvent yourself. If you look around you at the most successful people, the one thing you will find is that they are the ones that are able to adapt to different environments, different scenarios, and are able to reinvent themselves. And when I mean successful, it does not have to be just how much money they have. About 2 years ago, I was bidding for this project, and the lady in charge of it called me in with her colleagues for a meeting. And she was really, really upset with my presentation. She was not happy with the fact that I had done so many things. Now, she wasn't upset with the quality of work I had put in. By her own admission, I had done the work. I was good at all the things I had done. For some reason, that upset her so much. I guess in a way, she couldn't put me in a box, whatever box that was, that she wanted to put me, but it really, really upset her. What she did not realize was that was my secret to surviving and thriving. I was always willing to learn something new. I was always willing to pivot at any given time so that I can achieve whatever goals I wanted to achieve. Not having the ability to adapt, pivot, and reinvent yourself, it limits one in so many ways. It limits your ability to adapt to different scenarios, different changes. I grew up on 90s action movies. And one actor that I really, really admire, not just for his acting skill, but the fact that he's had a very long and rather varied career, is Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, this is a guy that went from bodybuilding to acting and finally became the governor of California, which is one of the biggest economies in the world. When he started, people laughed at his accent and all of that. But if you check his career path, it's incredible where he came from and how far he's gone in life. I am also reminded of a scene in a film. I can't remember that film now, but the main character in that film was told something that stayed with me. He was told to keep moving. This film was about conflict. It was about war. And the main character was told to keep moving, to never stop, that only those who keep moving survive. Those that stayed were very quickly consumed. If you know someone, just think about anyone that you've known for a long time. If you come back after a couple of years and you meet them doing the same thing that they were doing years ago or months ago, chances are they are not doing very, very well. I started my work life in information technology. I have a first degree in computer science and physics. I gravitated towards animation because I loved animated films. And one of the first things you learn in animation school is what is known as a walk cycle. I remember the first thing, or one of the first things that my animation teacher said, and that statement stuck with me. He said, a walk is a controlled fall. Every time we walk, it's a controlled fall. But the thing is, we do it so often and without thinking, because we've done it so often, that we don't realize that it's a continual falling and catching ourselves falling. And I know I get accused sometimes of being kind of philosophical about things like this, but I think in our ability to walk, we have the innate ability to reinvent ourselves. And let me explain. When we walk through different terrains, some rocky, some sandy, some whatever terrain we're walking through. We adapt constantly to whatever terrain we're walking through. And a lot of times we do it without thinking. We're just moving. When we're climbing up a hill, we just know we're climbing up a hill. We don't think of the next step. We just take the next step. We just do it. It's innate in us. Think about it. Just as walking requires us to constantly make adjustments so that we can maintain balance and achieve our goal, which in this case is walking towards wherever we're going. So it is in life as well. That innate ability to constantly make adjustments, to reinvent ourselves, to adapt to different scenarios is innate in every single one of us. We just don't realize it most times because we hardly ever use it. Anyone that knows me knows I love having conversations with total strangers. If you're seated beside me on a plane, train, or bus, we're going to talk. We're going to have a conversation. And one such conversation was one I had with someone on a train somewhere in Europe. And this man was vehemently against immigration, which anywhere in the world, it does not matter. It could be in Europe, it could be in Africa, America, wherever. It's a very, very divisive, controversial issue. And one of the things he said was that, one of the usual refrains, immigrants take jobs from people and all of that. And he was very, very against any form of immigration. He was like, everybody should stay within their own borders. I said to him, one of the reasons why people or so-called immigrants do very well is the simple fact that moving to a totally different country is one of the biggest acts of reinvention. You cannot reinvent yourself any more than that. The very fact that you are willing to move to a different country, different society, different way of doing things is one of the biggest acts of reinvention. And it's no wonder that when people move away from where they usually are to a place that they've never been to, they thrive, because you have to reinvent yourself. You have to reimagine yourself to survive in a place like that. And when you're willing to do that, it kind of puts you in a certain mindset that is primed for success. Well, I will say this. After we had the conversation, he kind of understood why immigrants thrive anywhere. And like I said, it does not matter whether it's in Africa. I've heard people from different tribes in different countries go at it over people from other tribes coming to thrive in their place, in their neighborhood. So it cuts across every single culture, every continent. But that very act of moving from one place to the other is one of the biggest ways of reinventing yourself. And people thrive. It primes you for success because you let go so much, and it's like you're a clean slate. The minute we're able or willing to reinvent, to reimagine and recreate ourselves, we open doors. We open ourselves to abilities that we never even knew that we had. Reinventing yourself does not mean discarding your past or your core values. No, that's not what it means. What it simply means is opening yourself to new experiences, broadening your horizons, and unlocking the untapped potential inside you. When you open yourself to change, amazing things happen. But I'll be the first to say that reinventing yourself is not easy. No, I will be the last person to tell you that it is difficult. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of dedication. I am reminded of what Alexis Carrel said, that man cannot recreate himself without suffering, because he is both the marble and the sculptor. Now the question is, how do you even start? How do you go about reinventing yourself? How can anyone go about reinventing themselves? There are a few steps to take. Step 1, self-reflection. Take the time to evaluate your current situation, your strengths and your passion. What aspects of your life do you want to change or improve upon? Step 2, set goals. Create a vision for the future you want to create. Set clear and achievable goals that will help you progress and grow. The important part of step 2 is achievable goals. There is absolutely no need to set unachievable, unrealistic goals. Step 3, learn and acquire new skills. Take up courses, read books, and explore new subjects. This I cannot say enough. I cannot emphasize the importance of this enough. Take courses, speak to people, look for mentors, whichever way you can get knowledge. Whatever you need to do to broaden your knowledge, do it. Step 4, embrace discomfort. Growth rarely happens in our comfort zone. Be willing to step outside of familiar territory and embrace the unknown. I cannot say this enough as well. Progress comes when we step outside of our comfort zone. That is where progress lies. You cannot achieve different results by doing the same things over and over again. No, it does not happen. No matter how much we try, no matter how far down the wrong path you have gone, you cannot arrive at your destination by keep going down the wrong road. Embrace discomfort. The biggest obstacle to people reinventing themselves is actually fear. Reinventing yourself is a journey, and it takes patience, persistence, and most importantly, time. It's not an overnight thing. You cannot reinvent yourself overnight. It's a process, but it is worth it. By reinventing ourselves, we discover new passions, new strengths, new opportunities that we never would ordinarily have seen. By reinventing ourselves, we build resilience and build a better version of ourselves. Let's break the chains of monotony and embrace the beauty of reinvention. Let's choose growth over stagnation, progress over complacency, adventure over predictability. Together we can build extraordinary lives that will inspire others to do the same. I hope this message resonated with you. If it did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.